Welcome to Cellos for today's media luncheon. Our players this week, defensive end Matt Judon and wide receiver Jamie Potts, along with head coach Matt Mitchell. Coach, you can talk about the victory over Hillsdale, and we'll move on to the Wayne State contest this week.
Yeah, it's a pretty convincing victory for us at home. It's good to get back to Levers and get a win at home. Defense played outstanding for the majority of the game. You know, we held a team that had been rushing the ball pretty effectively to a total of 53 yards, and I think when we pulled at our starters, that number was even lower than that. So did a great job fitting up the run. We were very physical, had guys in the right spots. Guys, when it was time to make a play, made a play. Really didn't give up a whole lot of big chunk yardage at all. And they only really had one drive on us that it was a lengthy drive, took about 12 minutes off the clock, and spanned close to 80 yards. And even on that drive, we had multiple third down opportunities where we had some opportunities to get off the field when we did it. But other than that drive and some third downs, it was a pretty complete performance by our defense. I was impressed after getting challenged the previous week. Our guys really accepted that challenge and stepped up on that side of the ball and performed. Offensively, we continue to distribute the ball to a lot of different types of players in our offense, wideouts, running backs. A lot of guys got involved. We didn't have a whole lot of opportunities really in the first half because, again, the length of their drive. But when we did have our opportunities, specifically in the second half, I thought we did a better job of stringing together some multiple play drives. We kind of been a little bit of an offense the first 4 weeks. It was kind of either explosive plays and touchdowns, or it was a 3 and out. And I think this was probably the first time that we had to or were forced to, based on the style of defense that Hillsdale was playing, to string together some 10, 11, played 12 drives, and we were able to do that. So we ran the ball very effectively, had 317 yards rushing, and when you throw in some of our shorter passes that we had, we threw some shorter passes to Nick Dotson and Brandon Bean. Those almost counted as runs, for us in terms of our style of offense. We were very efficient, moving the ball down the field. So, I thought Bart continued to play well. I think this is the first time where, things maybe were not as they were planned. It was a little bit off script, and he made some plays. And I really think the other really big moment for him was, we decided to get aggressive at the end of the first half, and he threw a pick, and he could have kind of been hanging his head. Our team could have kind of been hanging its head after that situation, but we went in the locker room, had a lot of confidence heading out, and came out that first drive of the second half and really made some plays, made some third down plays, and then obviously had the touchdown and a little bit of an improv play to Matt Williams. So, our guys on that side of the ball continue to have great ball security. All of our running backs, Kirk Spencer, Marty Carter, all of our wideouts that are catching balls, we continue to have great ball security. And so, we're not turning the ball over offensively other than a couple picks. We're doing a good job with that and playing well. Other big factor in the game was special teams. We could have had a huge day, sans a couple penalties, but other than that, we were very efficient on the special teams end of things. A lot of hidden yardage on that side of the game that people don't notice sometimes. You see the punt return for the touchdown. We got a turnover on our kickoff team, and we got a safety on our punt return team, but we also had some other big chunk returns in the kickoff return and punt return, and we swung the field with our other two units. Our kickoff coverage was excellent all night, didn't give up any big plays and really pinned it back. And then our punt team with Jamie, both coming out of an offensive formation and a traditional punt formation, we were able to flip the field. So we're doing great now. Last couple games we've done a good job in the second half, coming out and playing really well. We're the last two games, when you look at the scores of the last two games, it's been 56-0 in the second half. So we've shut people out the last two halves of defense, and scored 31 unanswered against Lake Erie and scored 25 unanswered against Hillsdale. So we've really done a good job in the second half finishing ball games. And again, progress over perfection. We continue to get better, and especially the offensive side of the ball. So we just got to keep improving. This weekend against Wayne State be our first road night game. It's Wayne State's homecoming. So we have a lot of kids on our roster that are from the east side of the state that played in the greater Detroit area. And I know a lot of those guys look forward to heading back over to that side of the state. And we get great crowd support on the road at Wayne, just because we have a lot of families and fans, and there's a lot of Lakers on the east side of the state. So I think we're going to be excited to take the field. When you look at Wayne State, they're very aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. They pressure a lot more than maybe we've seen here the last couple weeks in terms of pressures. So That's going to present a challenge for our offense. It'll present a challenge for our quarterback. When things are going good, it's pretty easy to make good decisions. When there's pressure in your face and they're blitzing you and things get a little bit more frenetic, that's where you have to have great leadership on that side of the ball. So that'll be a challenge for our offense. Handle their pressure packages and a lot of the guys that they have over there. They're really good on special teams. Watching a lot of special teams tape here the last 24 hours. They do a great job on the special teams end of things. They have a lot of guys that are fast and aggressive and will present challenges there. Offensively, at the beginning of the year, they had a quarterback coming back with a lot of experience in Carl Roscoe, and he was injured at the Michigan Tech game. And since then, they've had to lean on DJ Zazula, a freshman quarterback from Clarkston High School. And, there's been some times where he's looked good, and there's been some challenges at times, too. It's obviously a very competitive conference that we play in, and anytime you've got to put a true freshman at the quarterback position, that's going to, create some issues. But they have two really physical running backs, Romello Brown, Demetrius Stinson. They're big kids that are very physical backs. And, I think Coach Winters and that whole staff over there has kind of always prided themselves on a physical brand of football and, attempting to run the ball and establish the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. So we got to be ready, for that challenge moving forward. So that's the next step. That's what we got to do. We found a way on Saturday to get to 4-1. 3-1 in the GLIAC, and we have to try to find a way, offense, defense, special teams, to have an opportunity to try to get ourselves to 5-1, and so that'll be the focus throughout the course of the week. And a lot of football left to be played in our league, but we're really concerned right now about Grand Valley football and the opportunities that we have this Saturday and at Wayne State and Detroit.
Coach, time of possession is treated differently by different coaches. Hillsdale had that long drive in the first quarter, but then had the ball for only 8 minutes and 8 seconds in the second half. When you go into a game and you're playing a team like that, is that something you think about, how many possessions you're going to get in a game?
We don't really focus a ton on time of possession. I think we spend more of our time in a big picture standpoint focusing on turnovers. Trying to get some and trying to limit them. And again, if you look at our statistics throughout the course of the season, we've been really good on the turnover thing. We're plus, I haven't looked at it lately, but we're up big, in terms of our turnovers. And we feel like we can gain extra possessions by not turning the ball over and also being opportunistic with special teams and defense and getting turnovers. With the game on Saturday, Hillsdale, we had to play a little bit more man coverage because of the personnel groupings they're in. There wasn't going to be as many opportunities for picks. That was probably one thing I was a little disappointed with our defense. It was, probably the first time all year we didn't force a turnover. We didn't get one, but we did get one on special teams. And then offensively, you can't give them extra possessions by turning the ball over. I think the other metric that we spend a lot of time talking about is explosive plays. I think there's a higher correlation when you look at stats between turnovers and explosive plays relative to winning percentage than there is time of possession. And so our ability to be explosive offensively and not give up explosive plays defensively has a much higher correlation to winning, than time of possession does. On Saturday, our defense only gave up 3 explosive plays the entire game. All 3 of those occurred in the first half. And you look at, the second halves of both these last games, we haven't given up very many explosive plays. Offensively, we gave up 3 explosive plays defensively last week against Hillsdale, and we had 14 on offense and another 3 on special teams. So our differential on explosive plays was really big in that game, and that's why the score gets to a point where it's 46-14. So, when you look at the time of possession, there wasn't that huge a difference probably overall in the game, I don't think, in terms of the time of possession, but you still roll out there and, get that I think, whatever it was, 32-point margin of victory had more to do with the explosive play differential more than anything. So, different coaches put an emphasis on different things. I think if you're going to be a crew that puts a high premium on time of possession, it's probably in an attempt to protect your defense. You're going to try to possess the ball to protect your defense. In my opinion, with Grand Valley State in 2015, we don't need to protect our defense. Our defense is good enough that they can create their own time, and they can be on the field, they can defend them. So I'm more worried about our offense being aggressive, trying to be explosive. That's why I went for it at the end of the first half. I didn't want to have a mentality with our offense of just getting in a shell and curling up underneath the blanket and not being aggressive. We got to win games in 2015. You're not going to do that if you have a passive mentality. So we're going to try to be aggressive, and we did, and we didn't work out. We gave up a pick for a touchdown, but whatever. Our kids bounced back and outscored them in the second half 22-0. So that's aggressiveness in my opinion.
I know it was pretty windy and rainy out there on Saturday. Did that affect your initial game plan? And then maybe the players could speak to that as well, how that impacted you guys.
Yeah, from my chair, I mean, it is what it is. You know, you control what you can control. It's a variable you can't control. I was interested to see how some of our younger players specifically were going to handle it in pregame warm-up. I thought our kids handled it well. We had an awesome pregame, one of our better pregames of the year. I thought, you know, Bart Williams was throwing it around. Our receivers were catching it. And it really, to be honest, in pregame warm-up, it didn't seem to affect our kids at all. And I think that has to do with some grit and some mental toughness. And they just went out there, and I didn't really see an effect that the weather really had in anything. Kicking game, you know, offense, defense, just kind of went out there and played football. So we don't make a big deal of it. You know, we didn't make a big deal of it. We talked a little bit about ball security, but we talk about ball security every game, no matter what the conditions are. But I'll let Jamie hit that one first, then Matt after that.
Yeah, you don't really think about it when you're out there playing. I mean, you know, as a kid, you want to play in those type of games where it's raining and wet and cold. So it's kind of like football weather to us. So it's just something you play through. You don't really think about it a whole lot when you're out there, and you know, you just try and go out there and do your job the best you can.
Yeah, like they kind of hit on. We really didn't think about it. We got a football game to win, so we got to go out there and do what we got to do. Don't matter if it's concrete on the field, we still got to play.
Alton Voss was named GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week. Matt Judon, can you kind of talk about how he's improved this year? And obviously you're on the other side of the line from him, but what do you see from him? What does he do so well out there?
Well, he's really stepped up for our defense and our defensive line, and he's a leader out there. And he prepares well every week in and week out. And if he doesn't know, he asks questions, and he tries to get on as much film as he can. And he's just being a student of the game. He's learning from our defensive coach, defensive line coach Whitlow, and he's just been going out there and applying what he's learned from the film and in meeting rooms, and he's just going out there and producing on Saturday.
This is for Coach and Jamie. Bart Williams is really, you can see he's really coming into his own, passing the ball, and he's hitting a lot of different receivers. Is that something that you guys are really making a concentrated effort on in terms of seeing the whole field and hitting as many receivers as you can?
Well, I think with the difference maybe this year as opposed to other years, you know, we can kind of have a full field mentality in our passing game and realize that if they're going to rotate one way, we've always got great options on the other side or vice versa. So, I mean, years past, I think whether it was Jamie, maybe the past couple years, or Charles Johnson before that, you had to, you know, try to use one guy to attack things. I think we now have a lot of confidence in all of our receivers that they can line up at any spot, and that we're going to take kind of what they're giving us in terms of the coverage, because we know that we have guys that can make plays when the ball's thrown to them. So I think that's the biggest difference. It's a little bit more of a, you know, sideline to sideline and vertical passing game. It's not just limited to maybe the field or the boundary or one specific receiver position. We're trying to get more guys involved and try to take a little bit more what the defense has been giving us.
Yeah, I think Bart's definitely got a lot of confidence in all his receivers this year. You know, I know that as a receiving group, you know, we take pride in making plays for him, and the style of offense we've been running this year is a little more, it's a little easier to distribute the ball around the field. You know, I know in years past we have been kind of more one receiver dictated, and it's nice to see that, you know, this year we can spread it around and get some guys the ball, and we have a lot of guys making plays. So makes it a lot easier for Bart, and it really helps our offense out.
Coach, since he returned from injury, Marty Carter has really been a nice weapon out of the backfield. Can you talk about his emergence and kind of what he presents to defenses?
Yeah, you know, he's did a great job on Saturday. Again, I was a little concerned maybe with the weather and things, but, you know, he stepped up and did a good job. He's got a unique, a little bit combination of skills you don't see a lot, you know, at our level. He's explosive, he's fast. I think you saw in a couple of his runs he can run away from you. He's got good change of direction. And he still runs with good pad level, and he's a physical runner, so he doesn't really ever get pushed back a whole lot. You know, we kind of knew, you know, spring ball and specifically in fall camp, he had a great fall camp, and, you know, we knew that he was going to be a guy that's going to be in the rotation, get some touches. He got hurt early in the ODU game and missed pretty much the entire ODU game and also the Ferris game. And so, you know, really for us, when you kind of look back on it, that was his third football game on Saturday. And he had some really good runs, was really productive. So I'm not going to say too much about him. He's a kid that needs to keep his eyes, on the prize and keep focused up on things, and he has potential. It's unrealized potential at this point. He needs to keep getting in there and get repetitions, and I think that he, like some of our other guys on offense, will continue to grow. But the talent's there, and we got to keep putting him in those positions. And he's got to perform for this team when his number gets called, and he did a good job of that on Saturday.
Matt, it's kind of a homecoming for you, going back to near West Bloomfield, where you're from. Talk a bit about what it means to you to kind of go back to the east side and play in front of your family and friends.
Well, it's always fun going back and getting to play in front of my family and friends. A lot of my family don't get to come out this way every game, so it'll just be a homecoming, and I have a bigger fan base over there, and it's just going to be a fun game. Wayne State's a physical ball club, and that's the type of games we like to play in, and it's going to be dirty, and so it's just going to be a fun game.
Okay, that will conclude today's media luncheon. Alton Voss has been named the GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week, and all that information can be found on GVSULakers.com. Thank you.